And so we would stay there, and we would, work on the base, goofing off. But you always had to look like you're doing something.
Right.
So, and I'll never forget it. We were in Da Nang and working in this maintenance shop, and one of the guys in our group was he had been in the Army for 10 or 12 years and had transferred into the Air Force, and he was E5 or E6. And anyway, in this shop, there was this big locker with a big lock on it. But one time it was open, and we saw there was M16s and hand grenades and all this stuff in this locker. And we had this, there was this lieutenant. So one day, this sergeant that had been in the Army says, "Lieutenant, what's with all the guns and hand grenades and stuff in that locker?" And he goes, "Oh, if the Kong attack, we're going to hand everybody a gun." He said, so this guy says, a black guy, he was funnier. He says, "Let me get this straight, Lieutenant. The VC are coming down the runway, and you're going to hand all of us Air Force guys M16s and grenades, and we're going to run down after them?" "Oh yeah." He says, "What if that's just like a little feint, and the real force is on the sides of the runway? So we go running down there, and they all of a sudden outflank us. What do we do then?" And this lieutenant goes, he goes, "I don't know." And he says, "I thought so." And so then the lieutenant, he said to me, he said, "Tim, if this base gets hit and starting to be overrun, you grab one of those guns and you get on your belly, and you stay on your belly, and you crawl around until you find a Marine or an Army guy, and you stick with him like glue, because this base is going to suffer 50% casualties just from Air Force guys shooting anything that moves. So you find an Army guy or an Air Force guy and get on the ground, and if he says jump, you jump, and if he says stay down, and he will probably get you out of here alive." So we used to have those kinds of fun things, and so I probably spent maybe 40% of my time at other bases other than Karat. Mostly in Da Nang, because that was like a real short. If they got flying over Hanoi or Haiphong and got anti-aircraft fire or something, that was a real short little jaunt to land there. And the rest of the time I spent at Karat. So you and I were there at the same times, more or less, in 1966. And I did get to see the Bob Hope show.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah, but though you remember all of the other USO shows, you get those Filipino groups.
Probably.
I mean, just, they'd say, "There's a show tonight at the Airmen's Club," and you'd go over there, and it was, and they were singing English with some weird accent, but singing popular music, and you're like, what is this? This is not the Beach Boys or Motown. I mean, I'm from Motown, give me some Motown music. And, and I started talking to one of them, and they said, "Oh, well, the Philippines government had a deal with the U.S. that people that would sign up and do these USO tours, if they would do like 2 years of touring, they were then given citizenship and could go right into the U.S.
Oh.
So that's why they did it.
Okay.
That's what he did.
Yeah. Now, let's just say your time there, was any getting adjusted to Thailand and getting adjusted to the environment? Or
the heat. The heat, and...
What about the workload and all that?
The workload wasn't too bad because actually our shop, because we worked on a lot of electronic equipment, was actually air conditioned. So that wasn't bad. The hooch wasn't, but... And because it was... And then when you were out on the planes, it was so hot, I actually wound up working the midnight shift. I worked the 7 at night to 7 in the morning shift because it was cooler out there on the flight line at night, and then slept so I could come back, take a shower, and sleep all day. So I enjoyed that. No, it wasn't too bad. We had the shows. We and Karat actually did have a Mars base. Military amateur radio service that I only tried to call a couple of times. You would go, and this is like a ham radio thing where they would then link up with a ham radio in the States. Now it could be